Part 75. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 741. Mensu's words were like an episode. Although these words made Ye Kwangdeo furious, they did not have much impact in the end. Although the three forces of Right Way, Xianming sect, Xiaoxian, and Mensu are not talking about speculation, it is difficult for them to fight directly with the powerful enemy of 5th grade monsters. Enter the island in the middle of the lake. Xiaoxian also clearly felt that the power of the Great Road in this place was even stronger than that in the Qinglian Valley. Practicing here can get twice the result with half the effort. What's even more amazing is that there seems to be a different kind of flame power among the power of the avenue on this ground. This discovery surprised Xiaoxian. Before, he also tried to understand the Great Road of Qinglian Valley. Unfortunately, no matter how he understood it, he couldn't get it right. But it's different on the island in the middle of the lake. He found that with the power of this flame, the power of the avenue in Qinglian Valley did not seem so difficult to understand. Is this the wonder of the island in the middle of the lake? Xiaoxian was very surprised. He released a trace of soul power and tried to understand the avenue on this small island. The powerful and sensitive power of the soul spread quietly. It permeates every plant and tree on the island in the middle of the lake. The mysterious avenue also slowly entered his divine palace. In just a few moments, he felt that the great avenue seemed to be flowing through his divine palace. He felt that here, his perception of the surrounding avenues was becoming more and more sensitive, as if it had risen to a higher level. On this island in the middle of the lake, streams of pure divine soul energy floated in the air, slowly nourishing the divine soul in his divine palace. The power of the soul has also been improved. Xiaoxian was delighted. Since the last time, with the help of Wei Qinglan to enhance the power of the soul, he has never had the opportunity to improve the power of the soul in the late stage of Taixu. Could it be that today is an opportunity to improve the realm of the soul? But he's also cautious. Nothing is free in this world. There was so much pure soul energy for no reason, so he really had to be more cautious, lest he get involved in it when the time came. As he followed the large army deeper into the dense forest, he was also full of vigilance. No need to be alarmed. These soul energies were originally formed in the Dragon Leap land, and God did not take them away but suffered from them. The system voice sounded. Hearing this, Xiaoxian couldn't help but be a little surprised. After getting the system for such a long time, he also has a basic understanding of the system. Basically, as long as it is confirmed by the system, it will not be wrong. Think of this. He simply stopped. He randomly found a big tree and sat down, and began to concentrate on absorbing the soul energy in this world. Although Ye Kwangdeo and other sect leaders did not like Xiaoxian very much. But he is the leader of Qinghua Academy after all. The sudden stop still attracted the attention of many people. Ye Kwangdeo frowned and said dissatisfiedly, Xiaoxian, what are you doing? The opening time of Dragon Leap Land is limited, why are you wasting your time here? I feel that the Tao power in this place is strong, and I want to practice for a while, Xiaoxian said casually. You, the blood dragon ancestral ape, is very powerful. We must work together and hope you won't hold us back, Ye Kwangdeo said while holding his breath and suppressing his anger. So what? What benefits can I gain from cooperating with you? Xiaoxian was non-committal. He knew that although everyone entered the land of Dragon Leap together, in essence, they were all competitors. He could completely ignore Ye Kwangdeo's request. Xiaoxian, do you know that this 5th level demonic beast, the blood dragon ancestral ape, is very powerful? If we all go together, it will be safer. If you insist on having your own way, I'm afraid there will be no good end. Ye Kwangdeo couldn't help but said angrily. He. Regarding Ye Kwangdeo's words of coaxing and lying, Xiao Xian didn't believe a word he said. What is safer to go together? I'm afraid that with the characters of Ye Guangdao and the others, if they really encounter danger, they will run faster than the other. He simply closed his eyes and began to concentrate on studying the soul energy of this place. With Xiao Xian voluntarily quitting. Naturally, Mansu had no intention of following the large army. She also sat next to him, her big eyes rolling around him, as if she had seen something. Regarding Xiao Xian's choice, although Ye Guangdao was annoyed, he was helpless. In the end, he had no choice but to compromise, take the others to rest nearby, and find Wu Sheng alone without knowing what to say. For other people's performance, Xiao Xian was also a little suspicious and puzzled. Logically speaking, there is such a powerful soul energy in Longjao land, and it is impossible for the proud men of various sects not to feel it. Why didn't they bother to collect it? Brother system. Isn't this a little strange? Xiao Xian asked his doubts. Haha, does the host underestimate this system a little too much? This pure soul energy still needs to be resolved by the system before it can be used by the host. Could it be that, the host thinks that all soul energy can be absorbed directly? I see, he. Xiao Xian was a little embarrassed. That's it? Although the soul energy is of great benefit to the cultivator's soul, it is still extremely dangerous if you want to absorb it directly. The system explained, if you are not careful at all, you will go crazy, which may damage your foundation, or even cause your body to explode and die. It seems that I still took advantage of the big brother of the system, Xiao Xian said with a smile. Nature. This system is innocent, and it is the #1 system in the world. Please don't doubt this, host. The system's voice is full of pride. Hearing this, Xiao Xian was also a little embarrassed. Before, he just felt that his system seemed different from the legend. It was not an ordinary, emotionless thing. No matter what you say or do, they all seem to contain some people's emotions. At that time, he also doubted whether his system was a trace of consciousness or spiritual thought left by some important person. Now after all this time, he really discovered that this was indeed possible. How could an ordinary system with no emotions be like a saleswoman selling melons, selling herself and boasting? Now after hearing the system boasting about itself. On the contrary, he became more certain of this. However, after having this idea, Xiao Xian still understood that there are some things that cannot be said openly after all. Even if you know this. He tried his best to act as if he didn't know what was going on. Brother system, however, I still have a question. If I absorb all this soul energy, can my soul realm be raised to the real state? Xiao Xian is full of expectations. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 742. Can. The system's response is simple. The answer also satisfied Xiao Xian. Moreover, when your soul power reaches the real state, the soul will be able to leak out of the body. If you learn soul skills, it will also give you another combat skill, the system said. Soul skills. What is a soul skill? Xiao Xian couldn't help being stunned. He also has some basic understanding of the power of the soul. He has used the power of the soul in battle before. But the effect is also very simple. It can only make the opponent temporarily feel a burst of divine soul pressure, unable to exert its full strength, that's all. According to the system, the power of the soul can actually be turned into a soul skill. So, brother system still has soul skills that he can teach me? That's great. Brother system, please rest assured, we will definitely learn well, Xiao Xian said quickly. Of course. However, you must first raise your spiritual realm to the real realm. The system said, don't think that with so much soul energy, you can be easily promoted. Why not, Xiao Xian was a little confused. He just discovered that the soul energy in this place was very pure. As long as he moved his mind a little, the soul energy could be continuously instilled into his palace. Can't go into details, the system stopped mid-sentence. I'm sorry. Xiao Xian suddenly felt helpless. He also knows the temperament of the system. He is usually easy to talk to, but if he gets into a bad temper, even he can't do anything about it. Then let's upgrade to reality first and see what else you have to say. Xiao Xian woke up. In the land of Dragon Leap, the pure and warm soul energy condensed into a huge vortex in the air, and was infused from top to bottom into Xiao Xian's divine palace. If someone were to observe Xiao Xian at this moment, you will find that under the infusion of pure soul energy, the aura of the soul around him becomes stronger and stronger. Ordinary practitioners with relatively weak soul power, just by staying next to him, you can feel a strong spiritual pressure. Others may not notice these subtle changes, but Mensu beside him frowned slightly. Mensu is good at charm. This is a skill that relies on the power of the soul. In the Snow Wolf sect, Mensu spent a lot of energy cultivating the power of the soul, so the realm of the power of the soul is also in the post-Tegza realm. He can be regarded as the person with the strongest soul power besides Xiao Xian in the land of Longjia. This guy actually broke through again. Mensu quickly felt the movement on Xiao Xian's body, and her face was a little surprised. As a practitioner of the power of the soul, Mensu naturally understands that it is more difficult to improve the power of the soul than the power of the Tao. For ordinary practitioners, if they want to improve the power of the soul, they have to spend more than 3 or 4 times more energy and resources than improving the power of the Tao. But now, seeing that the energy of the soul in Xiao Xian's body continues to rise, in addition to being shocked, she also felt a little more fearful. Because she discovered that the power of the soul in Xiao Xian was gradually becoming stronger than hers. You know, although Mensu is not weak in Taoism, but her biggest trump card is still the power of charm, which is why Yequangdao Shiqing and others, although they are dissatisfied with her, do not dare to really attack her. From a certain perspective, as long as she is willing, not to mention directly killing Yequangdao and Shiqing, she can also severely damage their souls. Even Wu Shen didn't dare to underestimate her. But now, seeing the power of Xiao Xian's soul rising steadily, Mensu felt a little more afraid. She knew that her charm power might have no effect on Xiao Xian now. If you use it forcefully, it will backfire on you. This guy is really talented, Mensu murmured to herself. Half an hour passed quickly. Seeing that Xiao Xian still looked like he was sitting still, Yequangdao couldn't help it anymore and walked over carelessly. Xiao Xian, have you rested enough? Is it possible that you really want so many of us to wait for you? Yequangdao raised the golden sword in his hand. I advise you to get up now and follow us. Good. Unexpectedly, faced with Yequangdao's rude words, Xiao Xian did not respond tit for tat. Instead, he took the initiative to stand up and said with a smile, then let's go together. Regarding Xiao Xian's reaction, Yequangdao was also stunned for a moment. He also knew something about Xiao Xian's temperament and knew that this guy had a character that would rather bend than bend. Enough. Don't worry. Blocking him from discovering Xiao Xian's power, Ye Kuangfeng looked like a big brother. Yequangdao said nonchalantly, is it possible that for so long, you have only grown older? If it weren't for the sake of King Hua Academy, what qualifications would a mere high-level spiritual god have to enter the Dragon Leap land? Yequangdao, after all these years, why do you still look like you like to bully others? We'll be in the land of Dragon Leap later. Be obedient and don't hold us back, you know. You know the truth. For the muscular Yequangdao, if anything, he was a little afraid before. Who knew, Xiao Xian actually stood up in cooperation, which was beyond his expectation. I didn't expect that, Xiao Xian could still break through. Snort. Amazing. Wu Shen, who was leaning against a big tree, reminded him, however, I advise you not to push too far, otherwise, if you kick on the steel plate, you will be the only one hurting. Now, he has fully realized the power of his soul. He can use the powerful power of the soul to fight with just a change of his mind. Ye Guangdao's face was grim, it's really ridiculous. Wu Shen shook his head instead. I heard that you have reached the great perfection of the spiritual God realm a long time ago. Why are you becoming less and less courageous? You. Although Xiao Xian is a high-level spiritual God realm, if we really want to fight, I'm afraid you are no match. Wu Shen glanced at Xiao Xian, thoughtfully. Regarding Ye Guangdao's arrogance. So now, Xiao Xian can kill him silently, without even leaving a trace. Ye Guangdao was still angry when he saw it. Xiao Xian glanced at Ye Guangdao meaningfully. Ha ha ha, is he the only one returning the steel plate? There seems to be a hazy power. Wu Shen. Shi Qing also frowned, his power of soul has reached the real state. Ye Guangdao, you are no match for him. It gave him the feeling of being punched in cotton. I won't hold you back, but, maybe someone else will hold you back by then. He had strong self-control ability, so even if Xiao Xian turned against him, he would still have a way to deal with it. Steel plate. Unlike Ye Guangdao, his soul power has reached the Taixuria realm. However, when he looked at Xiao Xian, he felt like he couldn't see through him. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 743. Shi Qing said one sentence. Everyone present was shocked, even Xiao Xian couldn't help but look at him a few more times. All the time. Among the trial disciples who entered the Dragon Leap land, Wu Shen was undoubtedly the strongest in Taoist power, Mensu was the strongest in divine soul power, and Ye Guangdao from the Golden Sword sect was good at attacking. Instead, Shi Qing, who is uniquely good at defense, is a bit unremarkable. He doesn't talk much and is very unattractive. Now he said it in one sentence. Nature is earth-shattering. Brother Shi Qing, what did you just say? This guy's soul strength has reached the real level? Is this impossible? Ye Guangdao was the first to not believe it. With the power of the soul in the real world, even if my master is here, I can resist. Wu Shen narrowed his eyes. Yes. How about it, my man is awesome, you better not go against my man, otherwise you don't even know when you will die. Mensu looked proud instead. Several sect leaders were so solemn, and other sect disciples had even more serious faces, looking at Xiao Xian with a little more fear in their eyes. So to say. Has your soul strength really reached the real state? See what other people are like. Ye Guangdao couldn't help but look surprised, looking at Xiao Xian with a hint of solemnity in his eyes. Not even he dared to resist the power of the real soul. It's a fluke. Xiao Xian was non-committal. His attitude naturally made the trial disciples present look solemn, and all of them looked at Xiao Xian with fear. On the other hand, Xiao Xian himself looked indifferent. It seemed like he didn't take this matter to heart at all. That's fine. If one more person improves his level, our strength will also increase by 1 point. Ye Guangdao looked at Xiao Xian with strange eyes. Although he didn't say much, there was obviously a lot of jealousy in his eyes. He thought. With the blessing of the snake blood golden sword, his opponent in the land of Dragon Leap may be Wu Shen. Who knows, now there is another Xiao Xian who has the power of the soul. This made him feel uncomfortable in his heart, and he couldn't help but say, however, if you think that when the power of the soul reaches the real state, you can do whatever you want, then you are a bit too confident. Ye Guangdao, if you are thinking of fighting within yourself, Why not think about how to deal with that 5th grade blood dragon ancestral ape? Wu Sheng looked disdainful. Humph, of course I know about this, Ye Guangdao said contemptuously. I think we should work together so that we can still compete. If we separate, I'm afraid we will be defeated by each other, Shi Qing said in a muffled voice. Collaboration is easy. How will the final benefits be distributed? Mensu hit the nail on the head. Neither Wu Shen nor I are interested in the Tianlong broken bones. You three will not start a fight over this thing, right? This, if the blood dragon ancestral ape is killed, the blood spine demon pills on this monster beast are extremely precious, Ye Guangdao said, looking at Shi Qing and Xiaoxian. It was obvious that I want to use these things in exchange for the Tianlong bone broken bones. Senior brother Ye, are you kidding me? By exchanging the demonic elixir of a demonic beast for the shattered bones of a heavenly dragon, do you think we are all fools? Mensu said disdainfully, if senior brother Ye only has this little sincerity and cooperation, that's it? You, Mensu, this matter has nothing to do with you, Ye Guangdao said with hostility in his eyes. My man's business is my business, Mensu said tit for tat. You are really shameless, aren't you? Ye Guangdao said, don't think that you are just a little bitch, we can't do anything to you today. Enough. This time the blood dragon ancestral ape is no ordinary monster. If you are still arguing and arguing, I'm afraid that none of us will survive. Wu Sheng snorted coldly and interrupted the quarrel between the two. Look at the distance and decide whether to quarrel or not. He could hear the seriousness in Wu Sheng's tone. Ye Guangdao and Mensu also looked at each other, their faces a little more dignified. They knew that Wu Sheng was not a sensationalist. Could it be that under such a voice, what really happened? Every time he swung it, a demon ape fell to the ground, and smelly blood flowed all over the ground. Originally, these trial disciples who were able to enter the Green Lotus Valley were not weak in strength, and those who had the courage to enter the Dragon Leap Land were the strongest disciples among them. Instead, Xiaoxian noticed. Relative to them. What's going on? Ye Guangdao's expression changed, and he flew up to a big tree. When he saw the scene in the distance, his face turned pale instantly. I saw him charging directly towards hundreds of demon apes with a snake blood golden knife. When Xiaoxian's serious sword was swung, any monster ape that came close to him would be killed or injured, and all kinds of monster apes with broken arms and legs were lying on the ground and wailing. The other disciples also became excited and began to massacre the monster ape according to their own abilities. On the ground in the distance, there was first the sound of heavy footsteps. In terms of number, there were at least hundreds of monsters. Seeing Ye Guangdao being so brave. The next second. But their strength is only average, most of them are at the beginning of the spiritual god realm, and they pose no threat to these wolf-like disciples. Snow-white demon wolves appeared and started fighting with the demon ape. She remained motionless, as if she didn't have to do anything. But his words were still very encouraging. Why panic? Shi Qing also waved his two iron fists vigorously. All the disciples suddenly became a little panicked. When he saw the scene in the distance, his expression couldn't help but change. They're just a bunch of mindless beasts. How can they scare you like this? Wu Sheng forced the Xianming Qi out of his body. His whole body was covered with a layer of black mist. He had a black halberd in his hand. Wherever the halberd touched, it could also knock down the monster apes around him. On the ground. Run quickly, there are so many monster apes, how can we possibly deal with them? A golden sword is like a dragon playing with a phoenix. Although Ye Guangdao's strength is not considered top among the trial disciples. Ye Guangdao, a golden snake blood sword, became more and more powerful the more he killed. Xiaoxian and Mensu looked much more relaxed. Along with the footsteps of the monsters, there are also the calls of countless apes. Behind is the lake of death, where can we go? Waves of snow-white snow wolf auras swept out and were instilled into these snow wolves. Even if any snow wolves were killed by the demon ape, they would be resurrected instantly. Ye Kwangdao angrily yelled, "Disciples of the Golden Blade sect, follow me to fight. I want to see how capable these beasts are." "At least, there are hundreds of demon apes," Shi Qing frowned. Mensu, on the other hand, let out the snow wolf aura from the snow wolf sect. "Although there are many of these demon apes." Xiao Xian also looked solemn. "Damn it! What should we do? Fight? Have we ever fought? Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors." Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 744. "Are you, too awesome?" Xiao Xian couldn't help but turn around and glance at Mensu beside him. "It's nothing awesome. I just activated the Tao power in my body and used my Tao power to maintain the attack of these spiritual beasts, that's all." Mensu shook her head and said, "Actually, this is nothing at all. Hear these words." Xiao Xian couldn't help but twitch the corners of his mouth. "Versailles. Isn't this a proper Versailles?" Mensu's ability to command the snow wolf spirit beast is unique even among all the trial disciples in the Qinglian Valley. Although these snow wolf spiritual beasts, it seems that his strength is at the beginning or middle level of the spiritual god realm. But evil tigers are also afraid of packs of wolves, and heroes cannot stand in large numbers. These snow wolf spiritual beasts are immortal and extremely ferocious in battle. Facing the multi-monster ape that was larger than him, he showed no fear at all. This crazy appearance is enough for other trial disciples to take him seriously. Interesting. After Xiao Xian said a word, he began to concentrate on the group of monster apes in front of him. Although there were a lot of demon apes, facing the trial team, which were all elite disciples, they suffered heavy losses for a while. Hundreds of demon apes were slaughtered, less than half of them, in less than a few breaths. Dirty blood flowed across the river, and blood filled the sky. Although these monster apes look ferocious, when faced with such a situation, they all inevitably feel fear and retreat one after another. Seeing this, Ye Kwangdao laughed instead. He swung the snake blood golden sword in his hand and chopped off the head of a monster ape with one blow. He laughed and said, "Brothers, these monster apes are scared. Let's take advantage of the victory and attack Huanglong. Kill. Kill all these beasts. Let these beasts know that our trial disciples are not easily scared." Under the command of Ye Kwangdao, a group of high-spirited trial disciples had excitement on their faces, and they rushed straight into the depths of the jungle. On the other hand, Xiao Xian and Mensu looked at each other. There was a little more fear in his eyes. Xiao Xian vaguely felt that maybe there might be something more powerful behind the demonic apes in the land of Dragon Leap this time. Otherwise, these monster apes would never attack like this. The confidence behind these demonic apes is most likely the 5th grade demonic beast, the blood dragon ancestral ape. Be careful. I feel that there will be bloodshed in the land of Dragon Leap this time. Xiao Xian said to Mensu, "It is said that monsters that have reached the 5th level or above have basic spiritual intelligence. In addition, the blood dragon ancestral ape is of ancient bloodline. There may be some trump cards. We must deal with them carefully." Yes. Mensu also didn't dare to be careless. The land of Longjio is the core area of Qinglian Valley, and it goes without saying that there are dangers involved. If we only rely on the protection of these defeated monster apes, I'm afraid no one will believe it. At the same time, looking at the monster apes scattering like birds and beasts, Xiao Xian suddenly discovered that although these monster apes were retreating, they were in order. It seems to have been expected. This is really something that is difficult for Xiao Xian to understand. Roar! Roar! Xiao Xian deliberately slowed down and hung at the end, wanting to see what would happen next. As expected. As everyone went deeper, 2 beast roars came from the dense forest. A giant ape that was more than 10 feet tall and covered with black hair appeared on the big tree. This ape's face is red, but its eyes are a coquettish blue, and its black hair is extremely messy. Just showing up, there is a fishy smell emanating from the body. So ugly, Mensu pursed her lips. This guy is the blood dragon ancestral ape. Is the ancient bloodline so useless? Don't you know how to strengthen his appearance? SHH. Xiao Xian quickly stopped him. He already roughly knew that these 5th level monsters already had some intelligence, but he still didn't know if this guy could understand human speech. If you can understand it, it will be really troublesome. Fortunately, after Mensu said these words, the blood dragon ancestral ape didn't react at all. He just glared at the trial disciples from the big tree. Obviously he was very dissatisfied with these people who invaded his territory. It seems like another fierce battle. Xiao Xian couldn't help but sigh. Get ready and put your snow wolf away. Why? Mensu was stunned. Although these snow wolves of hers were not capable of fighting alone, if they worked together, even opponents who were in the great perfection of the spiritual god realm would have a headache when they encountered them. Bloodline suppression. Didn't you notice that all those monster apes from before have surrendered? Xiao Xian shook his head. Maybe this is the advantage of the ancient bloodline. With the bonus of the ancient bloodline, ordinary monsters would not dare to fight against this blood dragon ancestor ape. So that's it. After hearing this, Mensu took a closer look at the blood dragon ancestral ape, nodded, and put away her snow wolves. And that's it? You should be able to notice that this blood dragon ancestral ape seems to be injured. Xiao Xian released the power of his soul and placed his sharp eyes on the belly of the blood dragon ancestral ape. Perhaps this is a good thing for us. The injury will greatly affect his combat effectiveness. He said this. Wu Sheng, Ye Guangdao and others all looked at Xiao Xian with a little more confusion in their eyes. They were also considered trial disciples with rich combat experience. The first moment they saw the blood dragon ancestral ape, they naturally checked its physical condition. But they found nothing. But now, Xiao Xian said with certainty that the blood dragon ancestral ape was injured. Are you sure this isn't sensationalism? How can it be? Xiao Xian, this matter is of great importance, so don't talk nonsense. Ye Guangdao warned, the blood dragon ancestral ape is considered the most powerful monster in the Dragon Leap land. To deal with such a monster, we must work together and not have selfish motives. For these words. Naturally, Xiao Xian didn't even bother to listen. When it comes to working together, he has no problem. But speaking of selfishness, I am afraid that Ye Guangdao is the most selfish guy. Ever since he came to Lanjiao land, this guy has almost written his purpose on his face. He took the lead in killing the demonic ape, and directed everyone to pursue him. Isn't its purpose just to show off its muscles and strength in front of the trial disciples, so as to get more shares in the final Tianlong bones? All this is not just Xiao Xian. Everyone present could see it clearly. Therefore, there was no need for Ye Guangdao to say more. Xiao Xian knew what he was thinking and simply said, if what I said is true, you can take a look at the belly of this blood dragon ancestral ape. Is there a line on it? Burn marks. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 745. Burned. The blood dragon ancestral ape is a 5th grade monster. How can it be afraid of ordinary flames? Xiao Xian, please stop trying to flatter others. Don't wait for Xiao Xian to finish. Ye Guangdao sneered, I think you are scared, right? If you don't dare to challenge the blood dragon ancestral ape, just stand back and wait until we deal with this monster, and maybe we can give you some points, a piece of cake. What he said was very satisfying. You can get benefits without paying anything. If it were applied to ordinary people, I am afraid they would really be grateful to them. But Xiao Xian understands. Ye Guangdao is definitely not such a kind-hearted person. At this moment, I'm afraid he wishes that Xiao Xian and others would be slapped to death by the blood dragon ancestral ape, and he would have the heavenly dragon's broken bones all to himself. How could he give him the Tianlong bones? But he knew that although Ye Guangdao was arrogant, it did not mean that the other leaders did not understand why. The injuries on the blood dragon ancestral ape could be seen with just a little attention. Xiao Xian, is what you said true? Wu Sheng's tone was not as arrogant as Ye Guangdao. Of course it's true. Xiao Xian released his strong soul power. If you don't believe it, I can give you a try. Try? How are you going to try? Hearing Xiao Xian's words, Wu Sheng was a little confused. Do you plan to challenge this monster alone? Are you willing to die? Let's just challenge it alone. The blood dragon ancestral ape is not an ordinary monster. I'm not that capable yet. Xiao Xian shook his head. However, there is still no problem if you try to provoke him. After saying that, he directly used the yin and yang stealth technique, and his figure instantly became illusory, and then rushed towards the blood dragon ancestral ape with the serious sword. The blood dragon ancestral ape didn't seem to react either. The next second, the serious sword was like a bolt of lightning, and the sharp blade directly cut open the latter's belly. What a fast sword! It seems that this Xiao Xian may be the biggest enemy. Wu Sheng thought to himself. After being hit hard suddenly, the blood dragon ancestral ape also roared angrily, roaring loudly at Xiao Xian with a scarlet face. It turned out that there were indeed wounds burned by the flames on its belly. After the wound was cut with a sharp sword, dirty blood flowed out in the next second. The severe pain made its blue eyes full of anger, and it was about to rush over and fight Xiao Xian desperately. See this? Xiao Xian's reaction was quick. Before the blood dragon ancestral ape could really get angry, he flashed and returned to the trial disciples again. The operation he just performed may not have done much harm to the blood dragon ancestral ape. However, it has a very important role, allowing everyone to see clearly that the blood dragon ancestral ape does have wounds on its body. At least, this injury prevents it from exerting its full strength. Are you really hurt? A disciple's eyes lit up. You guessed it right. Ye Guangdao's face was a bit obscure. Just now, he had the most doubts about Xiao Xian. In his opinion, this guy was talking nonsense. Who knew there was such a thing? The blood dragon ancestral ape is actually injured. Isn't this a slap in the face? Since the blood dragon ancestral ape is injured, it is a good thing for us. If we go together, we may not be defeated. Shi Qing's eyes also lit up, and he said in a rare initiative. Cooperation, win-win. In the face of a formidable enemy, Wu Sheng did not dare to hide his secrets. I want to see if this beast can withstand my snake blood golden sword. Ye Guangdao was also not to be outdone, and said to Shi Qing, Brother Shi Qing, you can bear it, and I will use the golden sword to kill the gods. Good. Shi Qing nodded muffledly. Then, a grey-green aura instantly enveloped him. His already tall body became even stronger. The knotted muscles on his body bulged high, and there was a layer of grey Dao force barrier on his skin. Obviously, he has used his defensive skills to the extreme. Ho ho ho. This blood dragon ancestral ape was originally the overlord of the Dragon Leap land. In the long years, basically no monster dared to challenge it. Who knew that it would suffer such a big loss at the hands of Xiao Xian today? Bring it on. Facing such a powerful monster, Shi Qing was not afraid, and crossed his arms, planning to strike with all his strength from the hard steel blood dragon ancestral ape. Wu Sheng and Ye Guangdao were on the left and right. Plan to attack from the side. Boom. After a loud bang, the land of Dragon Leap was suddenly shaken, countless huge trees fell to the ground, and the soil on the ground was blown away. After the large smoke and dust dissipated, Shi Qing was still standing there, but the skin all over his body was broken and blood flowed from the corners of his mouth. Apparently the collision just now caused him serious injuries. On the other side, Ye Guangdao and Wu Sheng also made gains. The snake blood golden saber and the Xianming Qi penetrated into the body of the blood dragon ancestral ape respectively. The poison of snake blood caused a large area of skin on the blood dragon ancestral ape to change color, and black blood flowed from it. Xianming's energy directly attacks the internal organs of the blood dragon ancestral ape. The momentum on its body has been reduced a lot. Interesting. It seems that this attack method of ants eating elephants is still very effective. Xiao Xian nodded slightly. Originally, he didn't dare to be careless when facing the blood dragon ancestral ape, and planned to use the flying mark claw to attack. Who knew that with just 3 people, this guy was seriously injured? It develops like this. The final victory over the blood dragon ancestral ape is almost certain. However, just when Xiao Xian breathed a sigh of relief, something unexpected happened suddenly. Ye Guangdao and Shi Qing looked at each other. He actually gave up the attack on the blood dragon ancestral ape at the same time. Instead, they attacked Wu Sheng at the same time. Dare you? Ye Guangdao, Shi Qing, what are you going to do? Fortunately, Wu Sheng responded quickly. Seeing these two people take action, their bodies were instantly wrapped in the dark Xianming energy, and they left the battle group in a flash. Even so, he was also hit by Ye Guangdao's knife in the chest. The huge impact caused his body to fly backwards. Hey. I'm really sorry. Who made you the #1 genius of the younger generation in the Mingzhou territory? Ye Guangdao put the snake blood golden sword on his shoulder and said with satisfaction, in order to deal with you, I have no choice but to do it. Snort. You think a broken knife can? Wu Sheng originally sneered and mocked, but in the next second, a mouthful of black blood spurted out of his mouth. At the same time, he felt that the Xianming Qi in his body had also weakened a lot. Snake blood golden knife. This is made by my master using the fangs of 6636 kinds of venomous snakes. It is extremely poisonous. Without our golden sword sex unique antidote, you will definitely die. Ye Guangdao looked sinister, so Wu Sheng, today is the day you die. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 746. You. So insidious. Wu Sheng also spit out a mouthful of black blood. Feeling that the toxins were constantly corroding his body, he did not dare to neglect, and quickly stepped aside, using his mysterious power to resolve the snake venom erosion. Eradicate the roots. Shi Qing did not relax his vigilance. Instead, he wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and looked at Wu Sheng with sharp eyes. It doesn't matter. My master's snake blood golden sword is naturally powerful. Unless there is a master above the blue god realm, no one can detoxify the snake venom. Ye Guangdao was full of confidence and looked at Wu Sheng with a sneer. You are the #1 genius in the Mingzhou territory, I think it is nothing more than that. Hearing Ye Guangdao's promise, Shi Qing also breathed a sigh of relief, and then, together with Ye Guangdao, he looked at Xiao Xian and Mensu aside. To these threatening glances, Xiao Xian just smiled slightly and looked back at Mensu. It seems that we are going to be in trouble today. Xiao Xian. We are facing a powerful enemy, and I don't want to fight with you. I just want you two to kneel down in front of me and surrender. I can forget about it. Ye Guangdao pretended to be free and easy. Faced with these words, Xiao Xian didn't even move his brows, he just looked at him with a sarcastic look. If anyone could read his gaze, then you will know that at this moment, Xiao Xian's eyes already have a hint of killing intent. As the founding Yuanling, there are only a few people in the world who can be equal to him. And even if these people face him, they must be polite and cautious. Ye Guangdao is just a trial disciple. Are you qualified to have such a conversation with him? He. I have long heard that you are a tough guy, but now it seems that you are really like that. Instead, Ye Guangdao laughed at himself. However, for Dean Kanglong's sake, I have given you a chance. If you don't seize it, don't blame me for being rude. The last sentence was spoken at the same time. The snake-blood golden knife in his hand struck again, heading straight for Xiao Xian's throat. At the same time, Shi Qing also charged up a punch and hit Xiao Xian's chest. Careful! Beware of sneak attacks. Mensu and Wu Sheng couldn't help but remind them at the same time. However, when the fist and golden knife approached Xiao Xian, his body suddenly disappeared, leaving only an afterimage in place. Damn it! What a speed! Ye Guangdao and Shi Qing's expressions changed. At the same time, they felt the wind behind their heads and quickly turned back. A long red gold sword stabbed towards the chests of the two of them like lightning. The powerful force of the sword made the two of them take a few steps back. However, Xiao Xian was unyielding when he had the advantage. The advanced serious sword was very powerful. With a shake of his hand, the long sword continued to slash at the two of them. The continuous offensive is like willow leaves in the wind. The two were left scrambling and forced to defend. However, Chunyang Wuji sword technique was a low-level Taoist technique and was very powerful. Soon Ye Guangdao and Shi Qing were at a disadvantage. Just be a little careless at this time. It's the consequence of losing your life. Damn it! Why is this guy so strong? Let's fight him. In front of his sect disciples, Ye Guangdao was forced to be unable to resist. Naturally, he felt that his face was dull, and he roared angrily, planning to fight back. Are you thinking of fighting back now? I'm afraid it's too late. Xiao Xian shook his head. After such a long time of contact, he also knew what kind of person Ye Guangdao was. It could be seen from Wu Sheng's poisoning that this guy was a cunning, and capricious villain. Today, if he is the loser, I'm afraid his life is definitely in danger. In this case, he naturally had no need to be merciful. He stepped up his attack with the serious sword in his hand. The long sword was like a bright moon in the sky, heading towards Ye Guangdao's throat. The serious sword and the snake-blood golden sword collided. Xiao Xian didn't move at all, but Ye Guangdao was hit and vomited blood. His face turned pale and he stumbled back several steps. It was Shi Qing beside him who reached out and grabbed him. Otherwise, I'm afraid it will be even more embarrassing. I lost. Xiao Xian, I lost. After the fight just now, Ye Guangdao had to admit that he was indeed no match for Xiao Xian. But today, the two of them were solved so easily by Xiao Xian. Otherwise, what do you think? Xiao Xian said playfully, after taking action against Wu Sheng just now, your next target should be me, right? Shi Qing lowered his head and touched his throat in disbelief. When he felt his warm blood flowing out, he realized that he had lost today. Shi Qing died. The serious sword flew again, heading straight for Shi Qing's throat. In their respective sects. The next second. Failed. What next? Xiao Xian sneered. Shi Qing fell to the ground. Ye Guangdao's great head rose into the sky. In one move. Seeing such a powerful serious sword, Shi Qing quickly used his defensive power again, but when he collided with the blood dragon ancestral ape, his power was too much. Scarlet blood splashed all over the ground instantly. You must know that no matter Ye Guangdao or Shi Qing, they are both leaders at the pinnacle of the spiritual god realm. If I am the one who loses today, there are no allies in the Qinglian Valley. Shi Qing's face was constantly changing. Such things simply made them unable to believe it. It was Wu Sheng. The defense at this moment is far less than it was just now. A group of disciples from other sects also stared at Xiao Xian in disbelief. Thump. You want to kill me? Ye Guangdao's pupils shrank instantly and he looked at Xiao Xian in disbelief. I'm afraid you won't get around me easily, right? You would actually kill Ye Guangdao and Shi Qing at this time. Aren't you worried about bringing trouble to yourself? The sharp golden sword, with its powerful authority, directly penetrated Shi Qing's defense and pierced the latter's throat. Ye Guangdao, die. What exactly do you think? Xiao Xian's eyes flashed. They are also talented practitioners who stand at the top. Xiao Xian, you have gone too far. Shi Qing's expression also changed, and he waved his fist, but after a moment of hesitation, he still said with a gloomy face, you don't really want to kill them all, do you? If you are not an ally, you are an enemy. To be able to kill two people at the peak of the spiritual god realm so easily. They couldn't figure out why Xiao Xian was such an ordinary-looking high-level cultivator of the spiritual god realm. A familiar voice sounded. Xiao Xian sneered, unsheathed the serious sword in his hand again, and flew directly towards Ye Guangdao's neck. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 747. Wu Sheng. Xiao Xian couldn't help but be a little surprised. Looking back, I saw this guy staying here well, with even a smile on his face. How could he look like he had just been poisoned by snake venom and was about to die? That's right, Wu Sheng said with a smile on his face. I originally wanted to deal with these two people myself, but I didn't expect that I asked you to do it for me. Speaking of which, I want to thank you even more. If you don't compete with me for the broken bones of the heavenly dragon, it will be your thanks. Xiao Xian's eyes were wary. Rest assured. I always stick to my word. Since it is what I said, naturally I, Wu Sheng, will not swallow it back. You can rest assured about this. Wu Sheng looked indifferent. Besides, our Xianming sect is here to look for the Xianming dragon, not the broken bones of the heavenly dragon. For these words, Xiao Xian was unmoved. He knew that Wu Sheng was obviously a very talented person. Even the poison of the snake blood golden knife can be detoxified by itself. His true ability is probably not as simple as it appears. Your way to detoxify. You should use your own blood, right? Although this can detoxify, it will also cause damage to your own body. Mensu looked at Wu Sheng and frowned. You're not afraid of damaging your foundation. In the face of fundamental damage and life danger, I believe that as long as you are a smart person, you can make the right choice. Wu Sheng shook his head. He is worthy of being the number one among the younger generation in Mingzhou domain, and he deserves his reputation. Xiao Xian also nodded secretly. I don't dare to take it seriously. Didn't this almost fall into the hands of Ye Guangdao and Shi Qing just now? This reputation is really harmful. Wu Sheng waved his hand and looked at Xiao Xian with interest. So, how about we join forces now to kill this blood dragon ancestral ape? Regarding Wu Sheng's proposal, Xiao Xian also had no other objections, nodded, and the two of them took action against the blood dragon ancestral ape at the same time. Pity this blood dragon ancestral ape. He was already beaten to death by Shi Qing and Ye Guangdao, but now two stronger people, Wu Sheng and Xiao Xian, appeared, and he died within 2 blows. In this regard, Xiao Xian also frowned slightly. He felt this was somewhat strange. This blood dragon ancestral ape is said to be a 5th-grade monster, and with the added power from the Dragon Leap Land, its strength should not be weak. His strength should at least be in the blue god realm. But why is it so vulnerable? Just 2 or 3 spiritual god realm cultivators joined forces to defeat it? Isn't this a bit baffling? Don't you guys feel a little strange? At this moment, he and Wu Sheng Mensu were considered allies. Xiao Xian also asked directly, is this blood dragon ancestral ape so weak? Can it be killed by 2 or 3 people? It was a 5th-grade monster with ancient bloodline. Isn't it a little bit that it was killed so easily? Strangeness. I'm a little confused too. Perhaps, it's because it has injuries. Mensu shook her head. There are all kinds of possibilities, but I think the most likely reason is because of its injuries. The injuries don't appear to be that serious. Wu Sheng walked to the body of the blood dragon ancestral ape. Using a halberd to push aside the hair on the corpse, he actually found a scar on it, but judging from the length of the scar, it was not that serious. Then why was it solved so easily? Can any of you see anything? Mensu asked. I can use the power of Xianming to detect it. Wu Sheng hesitated. Then let's do it quickly. Mensu was also very curious. However, it is still a bit dangerous. If I use the power of Xianming, your bodies may be affected to some extent. Wu Sheng said. The power of Xianming has a corrosive effect on the body of the cultivator. Is it? Why didn't you notice it before? Xiao Xian and Mensu looked at each other with a little surprise on their faces. The most unexpected person was naturally Xiao Xian. He had swallowed Xianming's energy before and got a lot of benefits from it. I never felt there was anything bad about this thing. But from Wu Sheng's words, it seems that there is something bad about this Xianming Qi. What does it mean? I have long heard that Xianming Qi is not only useful in combat, but also seems to be of great benefit to cultivation. Could it be that, this thing has side effects? Xiao Xian frowned and asked, isn't this a bit unrealistic? His question is actually what Mensu is curious about. At this moment, Mensu was naturally confused. It's natural. It's just, what I want to say is that if you have other plans, these things may not be impossible to solve. Wu Sheng said, if you trust me, I can release the Xianming Qi in my body for you to use for cultivation. He said this. Not only Xiao Xian and Meng Shui, but also some disciples from other sects looked curious. Are you so generous? Xiao Xian couldn't help but ask, I heard that in your Xianming sect, Xianming Qi is an extremely precious thing. Is it possible that you would take it out so easily? Nature is precious. But, if I can release the Xianming Qi, I can also find out the real cause of death of this blood dragon ancestral ape. Wu Sheng said. His words naturally aroused Xiao Xian's curiosity again. Based on what this means, could it be said that Xianming Qi also has the function of tracing the future? Isn't this a bit too awesome? However, he didn't ask any more questions and just waited patiently. He really wanted to see how Wu Sheng would show off his power and find the cause of death of the blood dragon ancestral ape. Compared to him and Mensu's calmness, the other disciples were somewhat uneasy. In the Mingzhou territory, they have all heard of the reputation of Xianming Qi, and in addition, Xianming sect disciples have always acted in an eclectic way. Ordinary disciples see them. Everyone will be more or less afraid. In addition, the violent deaths of Ye Guangdao and Shi Qing just now also left them with lingering fears. It's embarrassing. Wu Sheng finished speaking. He sat cross-legged in front of the body of the blood dragon ancestral ape, and a jet-black mysterious energy burst out of his head. Hovering and hovering over the corpse. Seems to be looking for something. After a short time, the jet-black Xianming Qi became larger and larger, and finally turned into a jet-black cloud. Shrouded over everyone's heads. Rumble. There were roaring sounds from time to time among the dark clouds. Just like before a storm is coming. Ho ho ho. At this time, Xiao Xian noticed that among the dark clouds, the dead blood dragon ancestral ape slowly stood up and roared at everyone. Resurrected. This blood dragon ancestral ape is resurrected? Is this a trap by the Xianming sect? Wu Sheng actually deliberately resurrected the blood dragon ancestral ape. I'm afraid this is his true purpose. Xiao Xian, you were fooled. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 748. For these conversations with those around you. Xiao Xian was non-committal. Resurrecting a 5th grade monster? This is not something that a mere spiritual god-realmed Dzogchen can achieve. No matter how talented Wu Sheng is, it is impossible for him to achieve this step. As for the shocking scene in front of me, from the perspective of other disciples, it was indeed a bit scary, but Xiao Xian could clearly see that this blood dragon ancestral ape was nothing more than a remnant soul. Of course, this is due to his powerful soul power. The power of the soul in reality has indeed brought him great benefits. At this moment, he just stood there. When you close your eyes, you can keenly feel that in the black mist, the spirit of a blood dragon ancestor is slowly resurrecting. The ferocious monster aura spread out. Xiao Xian saw that the strong Xianming Qi in Wu Sheng was slowly nourishing the essence of the blood dragon ancestral ape. What is he going to do? Even though he knew that Wu Sheng did not have the ability to resurrect the blood dragon ancestral ape. But he was still curious in his heart, what on earth is this guy going to do? Could it be that this guy is just using Xianming Qi to show off his presence? Thinking of this, Xiao Xian shook his head. He didn't think Wu Sheng was such a boring person. Xiao Xian, did you see something? After seeing Xiao Xian's appearance, Mensu couldn't help but ask curiously. I saw something wrong. It seems to me that this guy Wu Sheng is playing a big game of chess. Xiao Xian looked serious. This guy is indeed the number one among the younger generation in Mingzhou domain. Everything he does is done in a systematic way. Hear these words. Mensu looked confused instead. She really couldn't understand what Xiao Xian said in this fog. Blinking her big eyes, she suddenly smiled. Xiao Xian, I want to ask you a question, can you answer me? Sure. Xiao Xian shrugged his shoulders. He knew that Mensu and Long Ruoxiu were actually similar. They were both very independent women. If you have to ask questions about some things, you must be prepared. Even if he doesn't answer, he will probably be asked in a roundabout way. Moreover, regarding Mensu, Xiao Xian thought that he had nothing to hide, so he simply continued, as a talented disciple of the Snow Wolf sect, if you want to ask anything, I will naturally tell you everything. Oh. Really? In my impression, you don't seem to be such an easy-to-talk person. After hearing what Xiao Xian said, Mensu became a little curious and said directly, then I will ask directly, if you get the Tianlong bone broken bones, will you help me find the Snow Mountain crystal? Snow Mountain crystal? Hear the name of this treasure. Xiao Xian couldn't help but be a little curious and said, you said before that you plan to use this thing to remove the poison of snow and cold from your body, right? Yes, Mensu nodded. Although that is the case, how do you know that there is a Snow Mountain crystal here? Moreover, what are you going to do after you find the Snow Mountain crystal? This, my master said that as long as you find this thing, you can remove the poison of snow and cold from your body, right? It's not that simple. Xiao Xian took a careful look at Meng Shui. I can feel that the poison of snow and cold in your body has sneaked into your bone marrow, and it is extremely difficult to remove it. Hearing this, Mensu nodded repeatedly with a look of surprise on her face. That's true. My master said that I need to find someone with extremely powerful soul power to help me. Hey, how do you know this matter? Mensu looked curious. Instead, Xiao Xian felt a little uncomfortable. Although he is considered a newbie on the Dao continent, he was definitely a big shot on the Tianqian continent and the Great Desolate continent. Regarding Mensu's illness, of course he can roughly see it. The power of the soul can be used to refine pills, refine weapons, treat people, fight, and have some other methods that others don't know about, Xiao Xian said. Naturally, she wanted to let Xiao Xian help her. Xiao Xian looked serious and said, actually, I can see that the snow-cold poison on your body is quite serious. Maybe the Snow Mountain crystal can help, but it cannot be said to be a complete cure. I didn't say it could be cured 100% of the time. Originally, she came to Qinglian Valley to treat herself because she was poisoned by the snow cold. At this time, Wu Sheng's face was a little impatient. It turned out that when Xiaoxian and Meng Shui were talking just now, she just felt a little excited, but she didn't expect that she actually found a treasure. Xiaoxian and Mensu looked at each other. Otherwise, do you think that so many cultivators practice the power of the soul every day just for novelty and fun? That is, after seeing Xiaoxian. Really, Xiaoxian's eyes flickered and he couldn't help but glance at Mensu's graceful figure a few more times. There were many talented male practitioners who pursued her before. The reason why he gave Mensu a warning first was to give her a reminder in advance. After all, he was not someone who just painted cakes for others. How powerful must a flame that can injure a 5th-grade monster be? It's a bit interesting. Xiaoxian shook his head and said, as for the snow-cold poison on your body, I can help you. I didn't expect that when I checked the memory of the blood dragon ancestral ape just now, you two hugged each other. Fire Lotus. Cure a snow-cold poison. You are right, this guy is indeed weak. Certainly. Mensu's face showed excitement. But what I have to admit is that with his experience, he can still understand some basic rules and principles. Although she usually looks slutty on purpose, she is still a relatively conservative woman in her heart. So, do you know what's going on? Why is this guy so weak? Xiaoxian asked. Now I can see Xiaoxian's powerful soul power and powerful fighting ability. Now, after getting Xiaoxian's approval, she was naturally very excited and couldn't help but grab Xiaoxian's arm. Master Xiaoxian, are you telling the truth? If you can really cure my snow-cold poison, I can do whatever you want me to do. The power of the soul can still have such an ability? It really opened my eyes. Mensu was very surprised. He may not fully understand some powers. It shouldn't be a big problem. When Wu Sheng got down to business, he continued, another problem is that it swallowed a flame lotus before. Maybe that's the reason for the wound on its stomach. Mensu's face instantly turned red with embarrassment. You are so annoying. Wu Sheng had already used Qianming's energy to check the memories of the blood dragon ancestral ape's life, and also extracted the essence of this monster beast. For the mainland. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 749. Such a treasure. If my prediction is correct, there should be an avenue of flames in this lotus flower, it's so desirable. Wu Sheng looked yearning. In response, Xiaoxian shook his head instead, the way of fire is probably not that simple. Even if a lotus flower can really burn a 5th-grade monster, it probably won't reach the level of the way of fire. Although on the main road, he is considered a newcomer. But he still has some understanding of Dao Dao. Flame, such a great avenue, cannot be understood by a lotus flower. How do you know? Wu Sheng couldn't help but look at Xiaoxian with confusion on his face. Since arriving in Qinglian Valley, the person who surprised him the most was naturally Xiaoxian. For so long. From the realm of Dao power, the realm of divine soul, and even knowledge and insight, Xiaoxian is not bad in these aspects. Even bluntly, Xiaoxian is the one with the best talent among the trial disciples. This is really impressive. Xiaoxian, how many secrets do you still have in your body? You even know the way of flames. Could it be that, you have already understood a great way? Wu Sheng couldn't help but look at Xiaoxian carefully. Regarding Dao Dao, those of them who are in the spiritual realm can only be regarded as practitioners who have just started on Dao Dao continent. Although I have the most basic understanding of the avenue. However, if you really want to talk about it, this basic understanding is basically just the surface of the Great Road. Count how deep. Even Wu Sheng, who is known as the #1 young person in Mingzhou territory, still has awe of Dao Dao. Don't dare to express opinions casually. Who knew that Xiao Xian could still have this understanding of the Avenue of Flames now? If it had been the time when he first came to Qinglian Valley, Wu Sheng might have laughed it off, thinking that Xiao Xian was just talking nonsense. But it's different now. Xiao Xian relied on his own strength to kill Ye Guangdao and Shi Cheng. This ability, let alone ordinary people, even Wu Sheng himself may not be able to do it. Based on this alone, Wu Sheng still paid more attention to Xiao Xian's words. That's not enough. Xiao Xian shook his head and smiled bitterly. If I could really understand a great way, I would have become a master of the Kang God realm long ago. How could I still be here? Hear this. Wu Sheng and Meng Shui laughed to themselves. Yes, although Xiao Xian is not weak in strength, understanding the great path cannot be done just by talking about it. If Xiao Xian can really understand the great way, I'm afraid the final result won't be what it is now. So, do you have some confidence in saying this? Or is there any basis for it? Wu Sheng still refused to give up. I have also learned about some avenues before. Although it is not very thorough, I still have some understanding. Judging from the scars on the blood dragon ancestral ape, this flame lotus can only be regarded as a branch of the Tao of Fire, nothing more. Xiao Xian explained, but despite this, the power of this flame lotus is not small. For this sentence, Wu Sheng and Mensu naturally nodded one after another. And so it is. A flame lotus that can cause such serious damage to a 5th-grade monster must contain countless powerful powers. Under such circumstances, it is still worth facing them seriously. How do you know all this? Mensu couldn't help but ask. If I remember it well, you don't have such great ability, right? It's something like this. It's something you own, not something for others to see. Xiao Xian smiled instead. Is it possible that there are some things that have to be shown before they can be considered as owned by themselves? Say it. Wu Sheng and Mensu couldn't help but look at each other and nodded secretly. For ordinary practitioners, if they have strength, they will usually show it to compete for more resources and benefits. Just like Ye Guangdao and Shi Qing just now. The two of them are typical arrogant people. Ever since they entered the Qinglian Valley, they have always acted like they are superior to others. How could it be like Xiao Xian? It doesn't show off its mountains and leaks, but it is a blockbuster at the critical moment. With a casual attack, the two biggest threats in the Qinglian Valley can be eliminated directly. Based on this point, it is not an exaggeration to say that Xiao Xian is truly the #1 person in Mingzhou domain. So, where is this flame lotus now? Xiao Xian asked Wu Sheng. Based on the memory of the blood dragon ancestral ape, this powerful flame lotus was not devoured by it. On the contrary, when it was devoured, this guy was still seriously injured, which is why he ended up like this. Wu Sheng said, now, the flame lotus should still be at the bottom of this volcano. As he spoke, he pointed to a large mountain behind him. Volcano. Xiao Xian frowned slightly. According to Mensu, there was a snow mountain crystal in this place, but now a flame lotus has appeared. Although he has never seen these two things. But purely from the perspective of their functions, one should be a cold attribute and the other a hot attribute. Two such things. Logically speaking, it is impossible to coexist. How could they appear in Longjio land at the same time? Not to mention, it is still the legendary dragon of the mysterious Ming. Is there any relationship between these three? Then, let's go. Wu Sheng saw Xiao Xian and Mensu looking deep in thought and said, I extracted some useful things from the memory of the blood dragon ancestral ape, including clues to the broken bones of the heavenly dragon. I wonder if you two are interested. Is there any snow mountain crystal? Xiao Xian asked. It seems that, This blood dragon ancestral ape has stayed in the land of Dragon Leap for a long time and is familiar with various treasures here. I believe that I can extract something from its memory. Wu Sheng frowned. Seems to be recalling something. That's best. This way we and you can each get what you need without any conflict of interest. Xiao Xian nodded slightly. He is quite satisfied with the current situation. He needs the heavenly dragon Broken Bones, Wu Shen needs the Xianming dragon, and Mensu needs the Snow Mountain crystal. Since there is no conflict of interest between them, then there won't be many obstacles to cooperation. But, I didn't expect that the Xianming power in your body can have such an effect. It's very mysterious. Xiao Xian walked to the corpse of the blood dragon ancestral ape on the ground, and with a casual stroke of the Sirius sword, it was removed from the body. The demon elixir was dug out of its body. This demon pill. Brother Xiao Xian, it belongs to you. If you hadn't killed Ye Guangdao and Shi Qing, I might still be in danger now. Wu Sheng had no intention of fighting for it. I don't want this dirty thing either. Mensu looked even more disgusted. Then I would be disrespectful. Xiao Xian smiled. The demon elixir of a 5th grade demon beast. Such things are still expensive even if they are placed on the trading market. Not to mention, this blood dragon ancestral ape still has a trace of ancient blood, and it would cost at least tens of thousands of stones to take it out. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 750. Xiao Xian dug out the demon pill of the blood dragon ancestral ape. He was no longer interested in the smelly monster corpse, but other disciples were very interested in it. They are all ordinary disciples. Naturally, Wu Sheng Mensu's resources were not available on ordinary days. The bones, and blood of a corpse of a 5th grade monster were rare. It was not what Xiao Xian expected. Soon, these ordinary disciples swarmed in and divided the body of the blood dragon ancestral ape into pieces. Outside the Qinglian Valley, Old Man Shilong and Li Guangdao looked shocked. As Shi Qing and Ye Guangdao were their disciples, they naturally learned about it through various secret methods at the moment of death. Shi Qing. Who killed you? The old man Shilong was furious, and with a roar, he struck towards the Qinglian Valley with his claws. The Kengshen realm might attack with all its strength. In an instant, the barrier above Qinglian Valley trembled. Rao Shi Kanglong, Len Aolan and others couldn't help but look solemn, a little worried that this angry stone dragon would do something outrageous. My apprentice is also dead. Li Guangdao's face was also ashen, and a golden and jade-colored token in his hand slowly became dim and then shattered. Who is it? Wu Sheng. Old Man Shilong's eyes were red. Shi Qing was his last disciple and the one with the most talent. He had been carefully trained for so many years and was trained as his successor. But now he died inexplicably. Naturally, he was both sad and angry. Have no idea. Li Guangdao looked at the old man Xueming not far away with cold eyes. However, in the Qinglian Valley, the only one who can kill the two of them is Wu Sheng. The eyes of Shilong Longlong and Li Guangdao were focused on the old man Xueming at the same time. His eyes were full of cold anger. Regarding this, the old man Xueming looked indifferent, but there was a bit of pride between his eyebrows. There are all kinds of dangers in Qinglian Valley. Why do you two want to pin this matter on my Xianming sect? Isn't it possible that they encountered some danger in Qinglian Valley? Besides, your so-called righteous way has always acted in a group. Is it possible that Wu Sheng can fight 3 or 4 people alone? Snort. Old Xueming, you may be clever with your words, but if you let me know the truth of the matter, even Xianming sect, I will also want an explanation. Old Man Shilong's face was livid, and he looked at Old Man Xueming with a gloomy look. Old Man Shilong, don't worry. If Xianming sect really did this, don't blame us, the righteous way, for being rude. King Hua Academy will never stand idly by. Within the Qinglian Valley. Faced with the previous group of disciples' doubts about the interior of Longjao land, Wu Sheng gave his own explanation, explaining that there are indeed Tianlongbone broken bones, Xianming dragon and snow mountain crystal in Qinglian Valley. He also deliberately tried the disciples to try their luck. Regarding these words, the trial disciples looked at each other and each had their own thoughts. After all, the shock that the blood dragon ancestral ape gave them just now still exists. Ordinary trial disciples will feel fear in their hearts when facing such a powerful fifth-level monster. Even people who don't know the reason can know it. Inside the land of Dragon Leap, there will be greater dangers next to the opportunities for these treasures. If you are not careful, you may even lose your life. Moreover, even if they really get these opportunities, can it really be given to him? Not to mention the old and powerful disciples like Wu Shengmensu, even if compared with Xiaoxian, they may not have much advantage. So in the end, most of the benefits belong to these people. On the contrary, these trial disciples will all bear risks. If you don't want to go, just wait by the lake now. When we come out of the Dragon Leap land, we will take you back to the outskirts of the Qinglian Valley. Wu Sheng did not force them, and continued, it will be safer here, and there may be some opportunities outside the Longjao land. All right. Then let's wait for a few people outside. I hope you can find the opportunity you want and return safely. After several trial disciples looked at each other, still didn't dare to really follow him out. Xiaoxian can understand this. After all, not everyone can do the thing of exchanging life for opportunity. He noticed. Wu Sheng on the side showed a half-smiling expression on his face. Since they are unwilling to go, let's go. Wu Sheng's expression flashed away, and then he said, I would like to believe that as long as the three of us work together, we will definitely get the opportunity we want. That's the best. Mensu was non-committal. Then let's go. Xiaoxian couldn't help but look back, glanced at the trialists who were staying there, and then followed Wu Sheng to continue walking into the mountains. He can also roughly understand. The further you go into the mountains, the more dangers you will encounter. In the end, it is very likely that they will encounter trouble that they cannot handle. Maybe having more people is a better choice. After this idea came up, Xiaoxian was a little puzzled. Wu Sheng, there should be other dangers ahead. Wouldn't it be safer to bring more people with you? It's not true. The danger in the Dragon Leap land is not just as simple as monsters. My master said that where the Xianming dragon appears, there will be natural Xianming qi. If there is no deep energy of the technique, it will most likely will be swallowed up by Xianming's energy. Wu Sheng said as he walked, like those people outside, without strong Tao power as support, even if they enter the Xianming land, they will die. Hear this. Both Xiaoxian and Meng Shui couldn't help but have a little strange look on their faces. The land of Xianming? Isn't this the place where the Xianming sect is located outside the Qinglian land? However, according to Wu Sheng, there is actually a Xianming land in Longjao land. Could it be that this Xianming land gave birth to the Xianming dragon? I heard that the land of Xianming is shrouded in poisonous mist all day long, and only practitioners who have cultivated the power of Xianming can be safe and sound. Now Xiaoxian is among the three. Only Wu Sheng has practiced the power of Xianming. But he still wants to lead everyone to this place. Doesn't this lead others to the ditch? You want to take us to the land of Xianming? Mensu's tone was unkind.